Getting new keycaps is a great way to change how your keyboard looks, feels, and sounds. It's like buying new clothes or getting a haircut. Well, not for me. Most keycaps are made of plastic, generally PBT or ABS, so your choices are generally limited to color, profile, and how the legends are represented. But not today, because I'm here to show you new trending keycap materials, from pure metal to real wood and many more. Let's start with these full metal low profile keycaps from Okis. These metal keycaps are really rare because normally you find keycaps that have like a metal finish but they are made of plastics. These are built completely out of metal, even the stem. And this is pretty difficult to manufacture because you need to make the stem super precise so it fits perfectly on the switch and it doesn't fall. You really need to press the key into position. I really like how these keycaps look. These are gold, but they are also made in other colors like silver, titanium, black, copper, white. One thing to keep in mind is that since they are fully made of metal, they are really heavy. A normal PBT double shot keycap is between 1 and 1.3 grams. These are 5 grams. So the whole set weighs maybe like 250 grams. That's like half a pound. That also affects how the switches feel. You will notice that the switches feel lighter because the weight of the keycap, so a light switch will feel even lighter. One interesting thing about these keycaps is their sound profile. You would expect them to sound metallic, but the sound is really muted and deep, even compared to normal PBT double shot keycaps. You only hear a ping here and there when two keycaps collide with each other. One thing that I don't like a lot about these keycaps is that the legends are not shine through. They're just laser etched into the metal. It's not that it's terrible because the legends will never wear out and they are really subtle, which makes them look really nice, but the light doesn't shine through. Another thing that you might like or dislike is that they're really cold to the touch because they're metal and quite slippery. Although you can also get them with a brush finish that will add a little bit of texture. Another thing to consider is the price. The smallest keycap set for a 60% keyboard costs $119 on their Kickstarter, which just launched. And it will be more expensive once it goes into production and you have it on regular stock. If you want some metallic keycaps, but you don't want to spend so much money, you could get these hollowed metal keycaps for $45. They are made of die-cast aluminum and they have these hollowed sides here. This is supposed to let sound go through and get the direct sound of the switch without the reverb that the keycap usually adds. They are relatively light for being metal. This one weighs just under 2 grams compared to the same keycap on PBT, which would be 1.3 grams. They are available in silver and gray. The profile is OEM, which is pretty standard, so you can just get this and put them on your normal keyboard. This is more of an accent type of keycap, and it comes with a spacebar in case you don't have an ergonomic keyboard like ours. Let's move now to a keycap material that has been trending for the last couple years, which is ceramic keycaps. People love them not only because of their aesthetic, but also for how deep they sound. They also solved a lot of the issues with the first iterations by redesigning the stem. You can see that they now changed the stem to plastic. Before it was ceramic, and that had problems with the fitting with the switch. Now being plastic, the fitting is perfect. They also have thick walls, like 1.9 millimeters, which is far more than a normal keycap that is 1.2 or 1.3 millimeters. Let's check that sound test. One thing to keep in mind with these keycaps is that they're also pretty heavy, 3.5 grams per keycap compared to 1 or 1.3 grams that a standard double shot PBT keycap weighs. These ones don't have legends, but you can also get them with legends. I think they look great, but I'm not really a fan of them because they are also cold to the touch like the metal ones and pretty slippery. I usually like keycaps with a little bit of texture, but that's just my opinion. Another thing that might throw you off is that there is no bump for the homing keys, normally F and J. And of course, there's no shine through either, even in the ones with legends. Finally, you need to consider that these are expensive keycaps. A set will cost around $140. If you want a similar look to the ceramic keycaps but don't want to spend that much money, maybe you could check these jelly keycaps from Womir. They cost around $30 and they are quite interesting. They have an opaque plastic in the inside and transparent polycarbonate in the outside. There is no shine-through legends because they're here printed on the plastic inside, but the light shines around it. They are much lighter than the ceramic keycaps, 1.4 grams, and thinner walls, but yet not too thin, 1.7 millimeters. They don't sound as great as the Cerakis, but I don't dislike them either. However, just as the ceramic keycaps, the surface is slippery, but not cold, and there is no bumps for the homing keys. Also, the legends on the sides are not great. I think the font could be nicer and they have some alignment issues. I think I would like this set with no legends. And as a little detail, if you have a keyboard with really bright RGB like ours, you will see that the light slightly bleeds and reflects on the transparent plastic onto the keycap. It looks like it's looking at you with eyes. Now, if you want that polycarbonate transparent feel but full RGB, you can go for these fully transparent MDA polycarbonate keycaps. As you can see, the light shines like crazy and I think that they look great. I really like transparent tech. However, even though they look great, these keycaps feel cheap through and through. And they are cheap, they cost like $30. The legends are pad printed, so you feel them when you type and they will eventually wear out. Due to their construction and reflective surfaces, the sound of these keycaps will highly depend on the switches that you use. They are light, thin keycaps. They weigh only 1.15 grams and they are 1.3 millimeters thick. As the jelly keycaps, the surface is slippery and you might get grease onto them fairly easy. But on the flip side, you do have bumps for F and J, the homing keys if you use QWERTY. If you want the opposite of slippery, you should check out these real wood keycaps. They are completely made out of wood except for the stem. The stem is made of plastic, but the rest of the keycap is wood. This means that the texture is super nice. They feel warm to the touch and they are not slippery at all, just the opposite. It's really nice typing on them. The sound profile is pretty interesting. It's not too loud. I would describe it as warm and elegant. The walls are pretty thick, 1.8 millimeters, but they don't weigh much, like 1.2 grams per keycap. On the other hand, these keycaps are not shine through because the legends are just engraved on the wood. Although I must say that engraving looks really nice. There's also no bump on F and J, I guess because of the construction method, and they are pretty expensive, over $100 for a 60% set. And to finish, I want to talk about our blank PBT keycaps. PBT is not really a trending keycap material because it's been with keyboards since day one, but I think that a stealthy looking keycap set like this one is. I'm really in love with this minimal look and especially how these keycaps feel and sound while typing. This is thanks to really thick keycap walls, 1.8 millimeters, and a really nice fitting of the stem. There's no wobbling or rattling, so the sound profile is really clean. I would say thuggy, but not too much. Of course, being blank PBT keycaps, there is no shine through, but you get bumps for the homing keys. We also have versions with legends subtly die-subbed into the keycaps, but I really like these full black ones. You can get them at Dygma.com for $79. I also like how heavily textured they are. And that's it. If you want to see even more keycap materials and how they affect the keyboard's feel and sound, check out these other videos. I would also love to hear from you. Have you tried any of these keycap materials? What are your thoughts? Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Until the next one!